I was holding a glass of champagne when my father cleared his throat. The music stopped. Every smile in the room froze, including mine. "Summer," my mother said softly, "there's something you need to know." My heart skipped. I laughed nervously. This better not be another speech. Then my father lifted a white envelope. DNA results. The room started spinning. My sister's phone was already up, red light blinking, live. "You're not our daughter," he said. Just like that. I felt my knees weaken as whispers filled the room. My mother stepped closer and hissed, "You owe us for everything we spent raising you." I opened my mouth to speak when a deep voice came from behind the crowd. "That's a lie." Everyone turned. A man I had never seen before was staring straight at me, with tears in his eyes. "I'm her father." And that's where my story truly began. Before I share this chapter of my life, if you've ever felt ignored, unheard, or underestimated, then this channel is for you. Subscribe to Jossy Revenge, where every story has a heartbeat. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. I've always known my place in my family. Not because anyone sat me down and explained it, but because life has a way of teaching you where you stand without words. Growing up, I was the responsible one. The quiet one. The one who didn't ask for much. If something broke, I fixed it. If someone needed help, I showed up. And if praise was being handed out, I learned early not to expect my name to be called. My younger sister, Brianna, was different. Brianna was loud, beautiful, dramatic, the kind of girl who walked into a room and somehow made it brighter. My parents adored her openly. They never tried to hide it. They didn't need to. Everyone could see it. When Brianna wanted a new phone, she got it. When she wanted brand name clothes, my mother made it happen. When she decided she was going to be an influencer, my father proudly told everyone, "That girl is going places." When I said I wanted to become a nurse, my mother nodded and said, "That's practical." Practical. That was always my word. By the time I turned 23, I was working full-time as an ICU nurse. Long shifts. Night shifts. Holidays. The kind of job that takes everything from you and still asks for more. I saw people at their worst, and sometimes at their last. But I loved it. Somewhere between the beeping machines and whispered prayers, I found purpose. And every month, without fail, I sent money home. Not because my parents asked, but because they expected it. Brianna's brand deal fell through, my mother would say. "Your father's car needs repairs. Can you help just this once?" It was never just once. Still, I sent it. Because I believed family was sacrifice. Because I believed love meant giving until it hurt, and then giving a little more. Sometimes, after a 16-hour shift, I'd sit alone in my car, hands shaking from exhaustion, and wonder if anyone would ever pour into me the way I poured into them. I didn't know it then, but the answer was already no. A month before my 30th birthday, my father called me. That alone should have been my first warning. "Summer," he said warmly, using that tone he saved for other people's ears. "Your mother and I have been talking." My heart lifted. Just a little. "We want to do something special for your birthday," he continued. "A real celebration. You deserve it." I pulled over on the side of the road, blinking back tears. You do?" "Of course," he said. "You're turning 30. It's a big milestone." No one had ever called my birthdays milestones before. He cleared his throat. "Also, I spoke to someone at the hospital. About that charge nurse position you mentioned." My breath caught. "You did?" "Yes," he said confidently. "I'm going to write you a recommendation letter. A strong one." I felt something dangerous bloom in my chest. Hope. For the first time in years, I let myself imagine a future where I wasn't just the backup daughter. Where maybe, just maybe, things were changing. That night, I cried in my apartment. Happy tears. The kind that sneak up on you when you least expect them. What would you do, I whispered to myself, if your parents finally saw you? The weeks leading up to my birthday felt different. My mother called more often. My father asked about my shifts. Even Brianna texted me, asking what I planned to wear. I guess something nice, I replied. She sent back a laughing emoji. As long as it photographs well. I didn't think much of it. Looking back now, that's what hurts the most, how normal it all seemed. How carefully they wrapped the trap in warmth. The day of my birthday arrived on a Saturday. After my shift, I went home, showered, and stood in front of my mirror longer than usual. I wore a simple navy blue dress. Nothing flashy. Nothing loud. Just me. As I fastened my necklace, my phone buzzed. Mom, don't be late. We have a lot planned. A lot planned. When I arrived at my parents' house, the driveway was full. Cars lined the street. Music floated through the air. Laughter. Surprise parties weren't really my thing, but I smiled anyway. I told myself this was love. This was effort. I stepped inside, and everyone shouted. Surprise. Confetti popped. Cameras flashed. Brianna shrieked dramatically, already filming. I stood there frozen, hand over my mouth, pretending not to notice how my name wasn't on the banner. It just read, family celebration. Friends from church. Distant relatives. Even coworkers I didn't recognize. My mother hugged me tightly. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Her grip was firm. Too firm. My father kissed my cheek and said loudly, 30 looks good on you. People clapped. Someone handed me champagne. For a moment, I let myself enjoy it. I laughed. I thanked everyone. I posed for photos I never asked to be in. Brianna kept adjusting my position. Stand closer to me, she whispered. The lighting's better here. At one point, I caught my Aunt Dorothy watching me from across the room. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. When our gazes met, she quickly looked away. I should have paid attention to that. As the evening went on, I noticed something strange. No gifts. There was a gift table, beautifully decorated, but nothing had my name on it. People kept walking past it, whispering, glancing at my parents. The music softened. My father tapped his glass. I'd like everyone's attention, he said. The room quieted. This night is very special, he continued. Not just because of a birthday, but because of truth. The word hit me like cold water. Truth. My mother moved beside him, holding a white envelope against her chest. Brianna angled her phone for a better shot. My stomach tightened. My father smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Summer, he said, come stand here. I walked forward slowly. Every step felt heavier than the last. People murmured. I heard someone whisper, what's going on? I forced a laugh. Dad, you're scaring me. He didn't laugh back. My mother opened the envelope. These, she said, pulling out papers, are DNA test results. The room went silent. I blinked. DNA results? Yes, my father said firmly. We had them done recently. My heart began to pound so loudly I could hear it in my ears. And according to these results, my mother continued, voice trembling in a way that felt rehearsed, you are not biologically related to us. The words didn't register at first. They floated in the air, meaningless. Then the room tilted. What? I whispered. Brianna gasped dramatically. Oh my God. Someone dropped a glass. My father exhaled slowly. We didn't want it to come out like this, but you deserve to know the truth. I searched his face for mercy. For love. For something. Dad, I said, my voice shaking, this isn't funny. This is not a joke, my mother snapped. My legs gave way, and I grabbed the edge of the table. The room erupted in whispers. She's adopted? They're just telling her now? At her birthday? I felt exposed. Stripped. Like my entire life had been ripped open in front of strangers. Then my mother said the words that broke something in me forever. Since you're not our child, she said coldly, we think it's only fair you repay us. The room froze. Repay you, for what? I asked faintly. For raising you, my father said. For feeding you. Educating you. Supporting you. My mother folded her arms. $500,000. The number echoed in my head. 500,000. I don't have that kind of money, I whispered. You're a nurse, Brianna said loudly. You make good money. She was smiling. My mother reached into her purse and pulled out my car keys. You won't be going anywhere tonight, she said. Not until we discuss payment. That's when I realized this was never a party. It was a courtroom. A public execution disguised as celebration. I looked around the room, at the faces I thought were cheering for me, and felt completely alone. And then, from the back of the crowd, a voice cut through the silence. That's a lie. Everyone turned. A tall man stepped forward. Well-dressed. Calm. Eyes locked on mine. That's not how this story goes, he said. My heart stopped. I'm her father. For a second, I thought I'd imagined it. I'm her father. The room erupted. People turned, gasps overlapping, whispers multiplying like wildfire. Brianna's phone swung toward the man instantly, her live stream catching every angle. My mother's face drained of color so fast it scared me. The man stepped forward again. Tall. Composed. Expensive suit. Not flashy, just quiet confidence. The kind you don't fake. He looked at me, and when our eyes met, something in his expression softened. Summer, he said gently. I'm Marcus Whitfield. The name meant nothing to me. But the way he said my name, like it mattered, made my chest ache. That's impossible, my father snapped. Security. No, Marcus said calmly, raising a hand. Let's not embarrass ourselves further, Gerald. I flinched. He knew my father's name. My mother stumbled forward. You have no right to be here. Marcus nodded slowly. You're right. I should have come sooner. The room went deadly quiet. What is he talking about? Someone whispered. Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a thick folder. He placed it gently on the table, the same table where moments ago I'd been celebrating a birthday I no longer recognized. You told her she owes you $500,000, he said evenly. That's interesting, considering you were paid to raise her. The room exploded. Paid? What does that mean? Is this some kind of scam? My head spun. I could barely breathe. Paid, to raise me? My mother screamed, that's a lie. Marcus opened the folder and slid out several documents. Monthly transfers. For 25 years. From my account, to yours. He turned the papers so the room could see. Dates. Amounts. Names. My mother staggered backward like she'd been struck. My father's mouth opened, then closed. No, he whispered. Linda, what is this? Marcus's voice remained steady. Summer's biological mother, Catherine, was my wife. When she became ill, she knew she wouldn't survive long enough to raise our daughter. She didn't want Summer in the system. She trusted family. Family. The word burned. She asked her sister, Marcus continued, eyes cutting briefly to Aunt Dorothy, to help find a home. Aunt Dorothy's hands began to shake. And you, Marcus said, turning back to my parents, agreed to take her in. With one condition. My mother sank into a chair. You wanted to be compensated, he finished. I felt like I was falling. All those years. All those sacrifices. All that guilt they fed me. You were paid? I whispered. My father turned to my mother, his voice breaking. Linda, tell me this isn't true. She didn't answer. Marcus slid out another document. Here's the agreement. And here, he added, pulling out a sealed envelope, is a letter. He held it out to me. This is from Catherine, he said softly. Your mother. My hands trembled as I took it. She died when I was 5. I had a mother, and I never knew her. Before I could open it, Aunt Dorothy let out a sob. I told you this would happen, she cried. Everyone turned to her. I knew, she admitted. I knew about the payments. I knew about Catherine. Linda asked me to burn the letters when Catherine passed. My mother screamed, you promised. I couldn't. Aunt Dorothy wailed. She deserved to know. The room descended into chaos. My father stumbled backward, gripping the table. You lied to me, he said to my mother. All these years, you told me she was a blessing. She was a paycheck, Marcus said coldly. That's when my sister spoke. This is fake, Brianna said loudly, still filming. This is all for attention. Marcus turned to her. You might want to turn that camera off. Why? She scoffed. Because the internet doesn't forget, he replied. Too late. Comments were already flooding in. Phones buzzing. People recording from every angle. What would you do, I wondered numbly, if your entire life unraveled in under 10 minutes? My mother suddenly stood up, wild-eyed. You think this changes anything? She yelled at Marcus. She still owes us. She lived in our house. You lived off her, Marcus shot back. And now, you're done. He turned to me. I never wanted this to happen publicly, he said. But when I got the invitation, I knew something was wrong. You came, because of me? I asked. He nodded. I've been watching from a distance. Making sure you were safe. That you had opportunities. I thought of the charge nurse interview I'd mysteriously been offered. My father stiffened. You had something to do with that? Marcus met his gaze. I made a call. I told them the truth, that Summer earned everything herself. My father's face twisted. I tried to stop that promotion. The room gasped. I stared at him. You, what? I told them you weren't leadership material, he muttered. That you lacked backbone. Marcus stepped between us. And yet here she is. Standing. My mother lunged for the letter in my hands. Give that to me. I pulled back instinctively. Don't, Marcus warned. Security finally arrived, ushered in by neighbors who'd heard the shouting. As my parents were separated, my father collapsed into a chair, his world shattering in real time. My mother screamed accusations. Brianna sobbed dramatically, her live stream still rolling. Then her phone buzzed non-stop. She looked down. Her face went pale. My account, she whispered. It's gone. The live stream had been reported. Screenshots already circulating. Brands pulling out. Her followers were calling her cruel. Heartless. Fake. Her dream, gone in minutes. Karma doesn't knock. It walks right in. Marcus placed a hand on my shoulder. You don't owe anyone here anything. I nodded slowly. For the first time in my life, someone was choosing me. The house felt smaller once the noise died down. Chairs were crooked. Confetti crunched under my shoes. Half-empty glasses sat where laughter had been just an hour earlier. It was strange how fast a place could turn from celebration to wreckage, like nothing had ever been real to begin with. I stood in the corner of the living room, still holding the letter from Catherine. My mother. My real mother. My hands shook as I finally opened it. My sweet Summer. If you're reading this, it means I couldn't stay long enough to watch you grow. The words blurred as tears spilled down my cheeks. She wrote about my laugh. About the birthmark on my shoulder. About how she used to sing to me when the pain was too much. She wrote about love, not obligation. Not sacrifice turned into debt. Just love. Marcus stood a few steps away, giving me space. Not pushing. Not hovering. For the first time, I felt seen without being demanded from. Outside, police lights flashed briefly as officers helped restore order. Neighbors whispered. Guests left quietly, avoiding eye contact. The crowd that once felt suffocating slowly disappeared. And then it was just us. My adoptive father sat alone on the couch, staring at nothing. My adoptive mother had been escorted upstairs to calm down. Brianna locked herself in the bathroom, sobbing loudly to someone on the phone, probably her manager. Or what used to be her manager. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt empty. Marcus broke the silence. You don't have to stay here. I nodded. I know. He hesitated. You can come with me. Or we can just sit somewhere neutral. Coffee. Air. I looked around the room that had shaped my entire sense of worth. I don't think I belong here anymore, I said quietly. That was the moment it clicked. Belonging wasn't something you earn by bleeding for people who won't bleed for you. It's something freely given, or it isn't real at all. I followed Marcus outside. The night air felt colder. Cleaner. Like breathing again after holding my lungs hostage for decades. We sat in his car in silence for a moment. You don't have to explain anything, he said gently. I want to, I replied. And so I did. I told him about my childhood. About being the helper, the fixer, the fallback. About sending money home even when I couldn't afford groceries. About birthdays that passed quietly. About loving people who loved me conditionally. He listened. Really listened. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't either, I admitted. I thought this was normal. He shook his head. It wasn't. And it won't be anymore, if you don't want it to be. That night, I didn't go back inside. I went home. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages. Extended family. Coworkers. Strangers who had recognized me from Brianna's live stream. Some were sympathetic. Some were curious. Some wanted gossip. I ignored them all. Instead, I went to work. Walking into the ICU that day felt different. The fluorescent lights. The steady beeping. The quiet heroism of survival and loss, it grounded me. My supervisor pulled me aside. I heard there was drama, she said carefully. I smiled tiredly. That's one word for it. She studied me for a moment, then said, the board reviewed your application again. The charge nurse position is yours, effective immediately. I blinked. What? You earned it, she said firmly. No recommendations. No interference. Just your record. I felt something crack open inside my chest. I wasn't promoted because someone felt sorry for me. I was promoted because I was good. Later that day, Marcus met with hospital leadership, not to influence them, but to make one thing clear. She stands on her own, he told them. Always has. When I heard that, I cried in the supply closet for a full 5 minutes. What would you do if someone finally defended you without asking for anything in return? Back at my parents' house, everything unraveled fast. My adoptive father discovered accounts he'd never known about. Money siphoned. Secrets stacked on secrets. Their marriage, already cracked, collapsed under the weight of truth. Brianna's influencer career didn't just stall. It imploded. Brands distanced themselves. Comment sections turned brutal. Her name became shorthand for cruelty and entitlement. The internet that once praised her now dissected her. She called me 3 days later. "You ruined my life," she screamed through tears. I took a breath. "No. You streamed your own." She hung up. I didn't block her, but I didn't chase her either. Boundaries felt strange at first. Like learning a new language as an adult. But each time I said no, without guilt, something inside me healed. Marcus and I started slow. Coffee. Walks. Stories. He told me about Catherine. About how much she loved art. About the way she laughed when she was nervous. About how she trusted the wrong people, and how it haunted him. "I should have fought harder," he admitted one evening. "You fought in the ways you knew how," I said. "We weren't trying to replace lost time. We were building new time." Aunt Dorothy reached out too. "I failed you," she said softly over tea. "But if you'll let me, I'd like to be part of your life." I thought about it. Forgiveness didn't mean access. "I'm open," I said. "But slowly." She nodded. "That's fair." Months passed. My world grew quieter, but stronger. No more emergency money transfers. No more conditional love. No more shrinking to fit into rooms that never wanted me whole. One evening, Marcus and I sat on my balcony, watching the city lights. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled. "I finally am." Because I had learned something powerful. Family isn't who raises you out of obligation. It's who shows up with truth, respect, and care, even when it's uncomfortable. And for the first time in my life, I chose myself. Moral of story. Sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are the ones who taught you how strong you had to become. I spent years believing my worth was tied to how much I gave, until I learned that love without respect is not love at all. Setting boundaries didn't make me heartless. It saved me. If you're watching this and questioning your place in someone else's life, remember this: you are not a debt. You are a gift. If my story touched you, hit that subscribe button for more emotional tales from Jossy Revenge. And even if it didn't, come on, subscribe anyway. I'll win you over next time. Drop a comment, like the video, and let's keep the stories alive. Thanks for watching.